All right, let's get this week 5 fantasy football stream started. I'm starting solo because Justin's going to be running late tonight. And I was literally not 2 seconds ago on Oni Kuno's live stream talking about the OU game and just talking about the Spitzer Rattler stuff and upcoming with TCU and just college football in general, guys. So apologize for the little late run right here. Anybody who's not part of the league who's watching. So again, I appreciate that. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. So as I wait on Justin, let's just recap kind of things. As you can see, got a brand new hat because yes, I was at the game on Saturday, and boy, that game was electric. I'm going to say that again. That game was electric. I cannot emphasize how insane that game got. And I think Justin's going to be one of those where he's going to be asking me some questions about it tonight. We'll see if we can keep it still to an hour with all of our fancy stuff and everything like that. But man, just a fantastic game. So that all said, let me exit out of a couple things really fast and see if I can let's see, bring up some of the stats and everything that we can talk about at least while we're waiting for Justin. So let's see. Let's find where I had all the. Oh, that's why. That's why I couldn't find it before. That's really weird. Let's see. I may have to go the other route with it where I put everything in this one and then go from there. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do. So, let's see. Get that one. I'm going to get this tab while we wait on Justin. And what I'll do, guys, is I'll do what I usually do is I'm going to start with the pick'ems and then kind of go from there. So, once after I establish the pick'ems, I'll kind of go into the uh, fantasy football awards for week 5. So let me exit out of these and I have an 11 minutes. So, okay, let me move this to the side and bring up the league. All right. So I'm going to share my screen for you guys and kind of go with the week 6. Week 6 is kind of crazy that we've had 6 weeks of fantasy football. It's really weird because it does not feel like it. But let's go with week 6. Oh, you know probably why that. I know why he hasn't came yet. So I gotta send him the link. Let me do that. See if that helps out. There we go. Maybe that will help out. I think I forgot to send him the link for it. So as y'all can see, we've got week 6 in the books with our fantasy football league. And as you can tell, we've got first place is Gavin. Gavin is in first place. Second place is Andrew. And in third place, I am in third place. Fourth place is Frank. Fifth place is Patrick. Sixth place is Sarah. Seventh place is Chad. Eighth place is Kayla. Ninth place is Brittany. And 10th place is Kari. You're going to start seeing teams kind of start pulling away at this point where you have a lot of them, and it's going to be those 1 or 2 games. Because if you notice, I don't know if you can tell from the live stream screen, but with like Gavin, he's 85-16. Andrew is 83-14. I'm 83-18. But based on our points and everything, the spreads and what may have been dropped from different games, because the reason why there's some of the games that are different and stuff as well, different weeks have different spreads and they may have forgot a game or anything like that from it. That all being said, though, you're going to see those teams. And I would have to say, as we're getting closer, it's hard for me to imagine right now Kari winning the league at this point because she is 10 points down. And based on how people pick and everything like that, who knows with it. Let me exit out of this though and welcome my streaming buddy, my co-host, Justin. How are you this evening?
Well. Look at your Sooners at the Red River game.
Well. That was probably one of the most electric games I've ever been to. And I'm not kidding on that. I was at the Alabama OU Sugar Bowl in 2014. One of the craziest experiences I could ever discuss. It was insane, Justin. It was insane. It was one of those you only experience that maybe once every 20 years kind of deal. It was fun. We survived. We survived. I mean,
What was going through your mind when y'all were down 41-23, almost in the third quarter?
At the end of the third quarter, you said 41-23.
That's what it was.
We were going to
That's what
tie
the
it.
score was. That's what the score was. I think when I turned the game on, like I would just get back for playing around disc golf. I think that's what the score was when I turned the game on.
Let me check because I think it was 41-33 for it. But regardless on it, we're coming back into this game with Caleb when they switched the quarterback out to Caleb Williams, and he was lighting it up with all the passes. I'm like, it's hard to describe it. You could feel the momentum change from the Texas side to the OU side. You could feel the shift with the players. You could feel the shift with the fans. And the less energetic and more stoic Texas got, the more energized OU was. We were bouncing around at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and it didn't end until the clock said 0. There was full-on confidence. I believe it was the 33-41 that this comeback is inevitable. And I think Texas knew that too. Like, they could not stop the run game on it. I mean, they gave up 339 yards of rushing. 210 of those, I think it was to Kennedy Brooks. But yeah, like the thing that we had, okay. The first quarter, this is rough. There's still, it depends on your time frame. The first 2 minutes in when it was 14-0, there was like 58 minutes left. There's more than enough time for football. This game is nowhere near over. This is a rivalry game. By the first quarter, we're like, well, that was something. Hopefully they can turn around. There's still other times the players were getting much more gel. They were getting much more planting their feet, everything like that. By the end of the second quarter, we're all feeling the big thing is it's like, yeah, they're ahead of us, but they haven't done the dagger yet. There's no feeling that we could not come rushing right back into the beginning of the third quarter at this point. And then by the time the fourth quarter started, we knew we were rushing back. This was not going to be a game that Texas was going to blow us out. This was possibly going to tie within the, like, maybe 10 minutes left. And I think it took about 7 minutes for it. But geez, yeah, like there was never really a time where we thought we were going to lose. It was just, well, this kind of sucks, but that's it. But yeah, we felt the comeback started to feel when when the Marvin Mims catch happened. That was the catch that one where he just made it inbounds. That's when everyone had the shift of OU is in this. OU is not going to lose this game.
I thought it was either that or when when Texas turned the ball over. Like I think it was like after the kickoff or one of the first plays where they're so deep in their own territory.
Yeah,
I think that's when it was. I think that's when it was tied.
Yeah, that fourth quarter fumble. We were saying that in the stands of to make sure we don't have to take this to a walk-off field goal. They've got to get a turnover. They have to figure that out. And Texas made the critical mistake of letting the freshman run out. Caleb Kelly made him pay for it. And that led to that first wonderful run by Kennedy Brooks. That's one of my favorite plays, not just of the game, but just of Sooner plays I've seen live, where he runs and Drake Stoops is blocked for him, and he pushes our own guy out of the way so he could rumble into the end zone. And right now, my buddy Sean mentioned how we have the weird football timeline right now of everybody like just losing that's ranked. And he compared that to like Infinite Crisis. It's the DC run. I said, if you want to compare OU right now to a team that is a character, I say it's the Juggernaut. Right now, OU is playing very, very slow in the beginning, but man, once you get them going, you better hope that you have a 5-touchdown lead, as Texas saw. The funniest, though, Justin, from that game wasn't even any of that. It was it was on game day when Texas chanted, "We want Caleb." Oh, you got Caleb. Oh, you got Caleb. Hindsight is 2020, isn't it, Texas?
And,
oh my goodness!
And you weren't starting this guy to begin with because
Spencer Rattler was the starter. We expected Spencer to do much better things. The difference is that Spencer Rattler was like the number one pocket passer, and Caleb was the number one duel. And what we thought it was going to be was that Spencer was going to leave for the NFL draft, and then we would get Caleb. We didn't start Caleb because we didn't think he would be much more talented than Rattler as a freshman. We're wrong. We are absolutely wrong on it. Absolutely wrong. Caleb's just that good, man. Caleb has that moxie. He has that talent. It's hard to describe. He has the it factor. That's a good way to put it.
Good luck to Riley getting his job back now.
Huh?
Good luck to Riley getting his starting job back now. That ain't happening. after that performance, the Caleb performance.
Yeah, I think Rattler's done. I think Rattler's is. It's sad in a sense of it. I think he was never the guy with the it factor, and it finally showed with it. And I don't know if he's going to be bitter about it. We still need him for a backup. Like, you still got to have that backup, and he has to realize that, because anything could happen to Caleb, and Rattler's right back in. But I feel bad for the guy with it, and who knows? Maybe there's some other stuff with it. I think there's other stuff, like he's always been a team player. But man, yeah, he's definitely not the starter. There's just no way. The big thing with Caleb versus Rattler was the floodgates opened, and this was the single worst case scenario you could have for Rattler. Was, gosh, having a freshman go and win OU Texas off the bench who hasn't played a down of football in 2 years. This was the absolute worst case scenario for Rattler, and he's gonna be backup. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. Guy's gonna be backup. But yeah, it was insanity game. Insanity. Gosh, wish I could go watch that game again. In the sense of, like, just live, it was all the emotion and everything too. It was an emotional roller coaster, but it was a fun one because we won. So
I was like, why? I was like, why are you like? How are you still alive? Aren't you supposed to be in a deep fried food coma at this point?
So yeah, and I think I sweated it all out at this point because there was so much fried food, but man, it fills you up so fast on it. And what happened was, so I had a funnel cake in the morning, I had my caramel apple, but in the afternoon, I was able to find the award-winning food in the state fair, which were deep fried gumbo balls. So it was like a hush puppy with rice, shrimp, crab, something else, and like a sausage. I remember all that, and it's about the size of a fist, and you get 2 of them. The big thing though is it's so breaded that you get full really, really, really fast, and that sat there the entire day. I'm just like, man, I can't eat another bite.
So about the size of this.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I gave you 2 of those.
2 of them, and it's $25. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I might be good at just after 1 of them.
Oh, I think that was me. I'm like, oh, I have another one I have to eat. I'm gonna do it, but man, it just sits there. It's a meal. It's not a snack like you would purchase anywhere else or anything like that. It was definitely a meal. And I think they gave Worcester sauce to dip it in. They had like a nice dipping sauce too. But man, it was good. Oh, it was good. So, what have you been up to, Justin?
Working, sports balling, all that good stuff.
You too. What, besides the OU Texas game, what did you think of that Iowa Penn State game?
Pretty much what everybody was saying, that Penn State probably would have won if their quarterback never got hurt, because they were crushing Iowa before he got hurt.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that momentum changed when they, ironically, when they switched quarterbacks, you saw that momentum change on it. But I mean, I was no team to sniff at. To doubt. They're good. Yeah, they're solid, man. They're solid. What about Bama losing to A&M?
Oh, sure. Be pretty much overrated as hell all year, and go ahead beat Bama A&M.
Because that's how A&M's luck has been lately. They're living in the monkey paw timeline where it's like, we can beat Bama, but we can't beat these other teams. Like, gosh, A&M. Did you catch any of the other games at all over the weekend?
What other games did I watch? Don't really call any of the top of my head because I was kind of flipping back and forth between that and baseball. But I mostly did watch the Bama game. I watched y'all's game. I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have fun at least watching our game?
What?
did you have fun at least watching our game? Like how much back and forth? Like that's the true Red River rivalry, like type of. As I tell people, if I had a game, I had to show people what this rivalry is about. It's that game.
Yeah, and the one in last year was really good too. That was also high scoring if I remember it.
Which one?
The Red River game last year.
Oh, the 4 overtime game.
Yeah, that 4 overtime. They won 4 overtimes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That one was more stressful more than anything. I'm trying to see really fast, Justin, and then we'll get right into the awards and everything like that. There was the here it is. I'm gonna tag you in this particular one. If you're curious on like what the crowd was at the OU one, and you can check it afterwards on Twitter. That's what that crowd was in the fourth quarter. It's pretty impressive, like how energized they got. And I'm just like, damn, I wish our crowd was like that every game. So I'm gonna go right into the let's see, the pick'ems. Yeah. Imagine that, by the way, the entire fourth quarter. That's what it was. So get this. I'll tell a story really fast before we get into the pick'ems. So when it was realistic that OU had a chance to tie this up and even take the win, that was the entire fourth quarter, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to the Cotton Bowl in Dallas?
I have not.
So it's a lower bowl, okay? It can seat like 98,000. I think it's 92 or 98, but it's all like a lower bowl, kind of like Michigan's was. It's not as tall, like say like Alabama's or our stadium or even Tennessee, right? So it was like a hockey game. One person would yell defense, then the entire section would yell defense, then the entire crowd would yell defense, just clapping it. We were giving Texas like hassling them the entire game, but I have to give the OU fans credit because they figured out a way to make it artificially louder. We didn't realize it in the beginning, and I have a video of it, and I'll have to send it to you. They got off the bleacher stands and started banging their hands on the bleachers to make it even artificially louder. I'm like, wow, that takes some ingenious thinking right there to do it. And it just made it like a thunder roar, like throughout the entire fourth quarter. Every single time Texas would get the ball on our side of the field, they got the ball on our side of the field. They heard thunder and screaming and cheering like that. But yeah, imagine that though, fourth quarter, the entire last 15 minutes, and Texas had us. They didn't drive towards us, they were driving away, but they still started on our side of the field most of the time. Insane. And I enjoyed that crowd every single minute. The friend I went with, Kayla, Miracle Muffins in Fantasy, she clapped so hard that she has bruises and calluses on her hands now. Yeah. It was fun.
So, this is what the Red River game does to you.
It makes you insane. That's what it does to us. So I'm gonna show the rest of the college pick'ems and everything. As I was explaining before you got on, we have kind of our 1st through 10th, and I think it's safe to say there's still 6 weeks left in the championship game. But I'm finding it now that people are starting to eliminate themselves because it seems like they're a little too far off. And based on how others are picking, I don't see them coming in. So I think the first one to say that's out at this point is Kari. Barring some miracles at this point from the upper 9, I think Kari's out by week 7 at this point. In danger right now would probably be Britney at this point. Britney's a little bit closer to the 85, but I just don't see her surpassing 7 games by the end of the season. You'd have to really find those upset games, and those are just too difficult to find, So going to the group picks from last week, though. Let's go week 6. As you can see, like everybody, the games that caused the upset. First off, last week, Andrew got first, I got second, and Gavin got third. The games that tripped everybody up was, first off, Mississippi versus Arkansas. That was a good game. That was one of those classic ones from Saturday where it was like Mississippi versus Arkansas, OU Texas, Iowa Penn State, what's it called? And Bama and A&M. There are some good football games. The reason I went with Mississippi, it's Lane Kiffin. And I just did not see Arkansas stopping that offense. That's the only reason why. And because they were the home team. And it paid off at that point. That was kind of the first hiccup one. And then, as you can see with the rest of them, everybody picked BYU wrong, which is terrible because I had Boise until the last day, Justin. I was going to switch Boise in for it because I thought they had better guys in the trenches, and I changed it at the last minute because it was at BYU. I should have stuck with my gut on it. Andrew succeeded all of us because he did the one pick that the rest of us didn't. It was TCU. I thought Texas Tech had a much better offense, and it turns out TCU has a pretty good offense right now. Yeah, that's the only reason why. So, gotta give everybody congratulations for the top 3 from last week as we move on to week 7. Week 7 looks to be interesting too because let's see, I'm going to bring up overview. I don't care if people see what my picks are. There's not really a whole lot of games, Justin. When you take a look at it, there's some games to go back and forth on, like, okay, maybe this one or maybe this one. This is kind of based on last week. This is kind of a lull week. There's really not any games. I think the biggest one's going to be Georgia and Kentucky, and Georgia's going to beat Kentucky.
Wow.
I think let's be honest, the most interesting one.
These are not good.
They're okay. I think the most interesting one's going to be Texas versus Oklahoma State because the question is going to be, it's in Austin. Is Texas going to be heartbroken Texas, or is this going to be angry Texas and they're going to take it out on Oklahoma State? Because Texas has a few key injuries that have piled up over the time. Can they overcome that? Because they still have Bijan. And Oklahoma State is quietly good right now, if that makes sense. They're making some movement, if that makes sense.
Who's quietly good?
Huh?
Who's quietly good?
Oklahoma State.
How can a team that's number 12 in the country be quietly good?
Because they don't have any playmakers and haven't had any highlight reels at all. The only player I even know of off of their team is Spencer Sanders. And that's it. They just don't have players. They're quietly good because they have beaten teams very, very, very I don't want to say methodically with it. It's just they've taken care of business and they're not flashy. They're not exciting with it. So they're quietly have been good. And because teams keep losing as well. This is like the first time since 2007 where teams have been the most ranked teams have lost over the week 6 period. That's kind of the other reason too. So they're quietly good. But again, looking at the slate, there's nothing. There's nothing this week on it, even in the top 25, just in general. So I'm going to stop sharing this screen. Any final thoughts for not fantasy football, for college football this week? Anything you're going to be on the lookout for?
I guess I'll take a look at Ole Miss Tennessee because Tennessee's offense has been pretty good, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good one too. That one is, Justin, that one's coached by Heupel too, so there's going to be some type of quarterback offense play. That one's a hard one too, and that was played at Ole Miss, isn't it?
Let me see, guys. I was pulling up. Give me one second. I was actually pulling up anyway to see what some of the lines were, so I could be able to tell you.
Yeah, I think it's 7 points.
Yeah, it's at at Tennessee.
Gotcha.
Yeah, right now Mississippi's favored by 2.5.
Oh, okay. Then I am completely off. That is definitely, they have no idea. They have absolutely no idea. But anyway, I'm going to move right on to fantasy football all now. So let me bring this up. We'll go to week 5. Scoot this over.
Obviously, these have to be early lines because I'm looking at this one. Cal at Oregon, number 9 Oregon. Oregon's only favored by 13.5.
Yeah, but Oregon's hasn't been that good after week 1. Oregon's gotten sloppier since they played Ohio State, and Ohio State's gotten much, much, much better. So that's probably why. Justin, what happened in the NFL this week outside of Russell Wilson hurting his finger, causing my quarterback chances to be very, very, very slim pickings at the moment?
What happened is that like half the kickers in the NFL decided to ruin their careers.
Why do you say that? Give some details. Why do you say that?
So many missed kicks, man. Including like 4 by Mason Crosby.
Wasn't there one Monday night? I think it was Georgia's old kicker, wasn't it? And I think one of my buddies was like, why couldn't he have missed against us? Was it just that bad of a weekend for kickers?
Well, Blankenship at least had the excuse that he missed extra point, like 2 field goals, but he was playing with a hip injury, a groin injury.
Yeah. Jeez. What else in the NFL? Anything highlights?
Well, Browns and Chargers was really fun, really high scoring. Well, as you're about to, you'll see when you get to the wars how like what kind of numbers that the Chargers put up. Let me see.
Baltimore, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar was electric in that comeback on Monday night.
Yeah, that was. I mean, he put up some numbers. Justin Herbert, he put up some numbers.
Oh yeah, my most impressed team by far it's got to be the Bills. What they did to the Chiefs at Arrowhead.
Yeah. Let's see. What was there anything else? The Chiefs lost, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They're 8-20.
Aren't they 1-5 now?
2-3.
It's gonna be hard to go undefeated with losing 3 games. I'm just saying. All right, let's take a quick look at these games. So we'll start with my game against Gavin. I won 128.08 to Gavin's 89.98. As you take a look as well, I had the big game changer, in my opinion, against Gavin was I had Mark Andrews, and that's who Lamar Jackson wanted to throw to all Monday night. There was just no comeback. I mean, we could question him not having a running back in. I just don't think there were any good running backs to be replaced in, and not having Antonio Brown as a starter. I that's like the second week he's had no Antonio Brown in. You got to throw Antonio Brown in at some point. Having him on the bench hurts. But I made a good decision that I don't know if Mixon is feeling well, but I did switch him out with Leonard Fournette. And Fournette definitely came through with me on points this week, for sure. Because Mixon, he got almost to his expected points, but he was just not himself. The one regret I have is leaving Tony on the bench because I didn't realize that Shepard, I think it was Shepard and Darius Slayton. That's it. I didn't think they would be targeting him as much, and boy, was I wrong. At some point, I think I'm going to drop Anderson, though. He has just not been performing. Do you have any reason why he hasn't performed all year with the Carolina Panthers?
I don't know. I guess I'm Darnold, probably because of emergence of DJ Moore, I guess. Just he's not really looking his way.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Looking at the high scoring game this week, it's Andrew again versus Patrick, and as you can see, Andrew is just Derrick Henry, man.
Who the hell are you supposed to beat Andrew with that lineup? I mean, he had Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler.
Yeah, it's hard. And look at the points they're scoring. They're just getting better and better. At some point, Derrick Henry has to face a line that's really, really like going to stop him. At some point. It could be this week with I think it's Tennessee. They play
it's conflicting because they're playing the Titans. I'm still a Titans fan, but in that game I'm going to have Emmanuel Sanders, Dustin Knox, and the Buffalo defense.
Gotcha.
Mostly because the Titans whole line has been so bad.
Got you. Okay. Also, I mean, Patrick did the best he could with his starting lineup. I think that's the best you could ask. I mean, there's not really anybody else. Yeah, Jameis Winston over Aaron Rodgers, but it wouldn't have made a difference with 6 points. Maybe, and even Gibson, like, there's not really a whole lot he could have changed because even then, that's only another 9 points on it. He still wouldn't have beaten Andrew. Andrew just has some good people at the moment. Let's take a look at your game, Justin. You kicked Chad's butt.
Yeah, just don't look at my bench, please. Just don't look at my bench.
You mean all 89.22 of those bench points?
God. That's what I meant. Like, I'm probably getting another award tonight.
Oh, probably. But hey, you finally had Chubb perform. He finally
Yeah,
had, it seems like, his breakout game this week. Let's see. What about and then yeah, Chad, I think Kyler Murray, he got hurt. I think it was a little bit. He got a little bit banged up, which is why he had low points. Galladay, I think
he got hurt too.
He got hurt and he was out. And then Cook. I mean, I don't know what happened to Cook. Was Cook pulled before?
I don't know because I don't know. I could have sworn I heard he was good to go. Maybe he was pulled at the last minute, and maybe it's too recent for him to really adjust. I mean, who was his? Did he have another running back on his bench?
Cook played through the injury last week. No, we're 100%. Alexander Madison. He doesn't have that was for him, and then for Chad, the only other running back he had was Connor and Williams. There wasn't, I mean, it wouldn't have made a difference against you at all. And the only thing you had to change was the defense with it. Cleveland did a lot worse than what people thought they were going to against those Chargers.
Yeah, I'm almost tempted to drop them, but there's nothing really any better on the market right now.
There's not. I mean, if they do 5 points, it's acceptable. But what made you have the decision to go with Matt Stafford versus Justin Herbert?
Mostly because Seattle's defense is terrible. I actually thought Cleveland's defense was better than that. Apparently not.
Gotcha. And then that was like a oops kind of moment. Let's move on to Kayla versus Britney. Britney got her second win. As you can tell, like, it was a pretty hardcore and fairly fought win. Again, look at Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is just getting those points like he was back at Kansas City. Crosby had a great game for her. She had another 16-point game with Crosby. He's becoming a solid kicker for this week. And then Ezekiel is definitely like a running back too at this point. He gets you 20 points, but he isn't doing as much as he was explosive at this point. I'm starting to feel like he's getting to his like downhill, like part of his playing time at this point of his career. And then Devonta Adams did fantastic against Cleveland. And they didn't, I think this is one they didn't really leave anybody on the bench. Baskin as a running back, sure, I guess you could throw him in over Edwards-Helaire, but yeah. We'll go to the next one. And Frank wanted me to point out that he specifically changed his name to Megatron now because of Joshua Prime. Since he beat a Prime, it only became appropriate that he'd have a Megatron, which cracked me up. So even with Josh, though, having 36-50 points with Josh Allen, it was a close game. We had people with COVID-19 now protocols. We have Barkley did nowhere near as good. I think Barkley went out, didn't he?
Barkley got hurt too.
Yeah, Barkley got hurt.
Dude, Daniel Jones got hurt.
I'm surprised Tucker had a very, very, very low point total. But trying to see, yeah, on the other side, yeah, it was just one of those games that favored Frank just a little bit. Moving on to the last one as well. Sarah continues to win. She's 4-1, and she beat Tyler 123-134. And my goodness, her strategy of let's pick Brady number one has just always panned out for her. 37.74 points. How ridiculous! I feel like Brady's having a second wind almost. I'm jealous. Of her having Brady right now. I thought that's what Russell Wilson would do.
Yeah, more like Tom Brady's giving Father Time the middle finger.
Yeah. But hey, look at Pitts and stuff as well. Pitts finally had a breakout game with 1790 points. And then just standard defenses, everything like that. So that all said, let's move back to the main one. And we'll start weekly awards. The week 5 weekly awards, Justin. It's kind of crazy that we're already almost to week 6. This week, it's gone fast, hasn't it?
It really has.
It has. So You said you wanted to interview me tonight, so I am more than happy to answer your question. So we'll do about 3 awards. We'll start with a question. We'll do about 3 to 4 awards, and then we'll do another question. So Justin, feel free to interview me. What's your first question for me?
It's mostly about your weekend down at the Red River game.
Sure.
I kind of asked you this already, but do you recall what your reaction was when after the OU tied the game and Texas had that fumble?
My reaction was we were going to win. I said the game is nowhere near done, but the moment with how OU was scoring and Texas was just not answering, and you could tell how the momentum changed from the Texas side to the OU side, and you saw OU feeding off the crowd's energy, which was feeding off like the band's energy, which was feeding off the players' energy. It was an unstoppable force at that point. I had no doubt if we could tie it, we were going to win it with a walk-off field goal. I didn't think it was going to be a touchdown, but I felt like once we were within 7 points with 15 minutes left, like this game's going to get tied up very, very, very soon. If we got a turnover, the turnover kind of sealed it to me.
Yeah, I'm looking at the score now. It looks like y'all were down. They had 28 points in the first quarter, only scored 20 points the rest of the game.
Yeah. The defense finally got settled in. We loaded the box against Bijan Robinson, and we dared Casey Thompson to throw it. Now, mind you, Casey beat us with his arm, but I think his arm was hurting at some point because at some point he got tackled and he was holding his arm, and he said it was his middle finger that got hurt. So when we saw him chucking and praying on the throws, even though the wide receivers like Xavier and Whittington was catching them, the balls were really wibbly wobbly. They weren't darts. They weren't spirals or anything. And I think that was kind of our indication of this was going our way, as not only just stopping Bijan, but also to the O-line was playing much better once Caleb came in. So that was kind of the point, was when the fumble happened, like there was no doubt that we weren't going to win this game. It was just going to be, is it going to be in the last second, or are we going to take the lead at some point? So thank you. First question, or first award is Winner Chicken Dinner from week 5. And that award goes to, I think, I have the wrong one for that one. I have the wrong one. So I think I have the wrong one. I could have sworn that I had the right one. Either way, I think we'll skip that one. We'll skip that one. I'll have to go back. If I have to do it another week for it, I will show it. For some reason, I think I had another one for it. So, yes. What?
That's a strike.
Yep. That's a strike. So next one is, for this weekly one, is the Juggernaut, which for the third time this season, it is Andrew with 134.12 points. Justin, how are we going to beat Andrew? I feel like it's going to be no one's going to beat him, except it's going to be like in the playoffs is where he's going to lose if he loses.
Who's this one loss? Who is this one loss even to?
Huh?
Who is this one? Who was the one person that beat him?
Gotcha. His one that he lost to, I can let you know, was Gavin in the very first week, and only by 6-ish points. So I think 7-ish points ish. Yeah. Otherwise, he's just blown people out of the water. It's hard to imagine. He plays Josh next week too. I just don't see him beating him. And then he plays me. I just don't see us beating him. So next award is going to be the week 5 coach of the week. There was none, because every coach who was favored won their game. That's the easiest where we have to award this week, Justin. And then next one, before we go on to the next question, is the week 5 Belichick is Sarah again, and she beat her projection by 26.88 points against against Tyler. So congratulations, Sarah. So while I get this next award up, Justin, what is your next question for me?
Did anything stand out to you in the trip to or from from Red River game, like during the road trip?
During the road trip, none at all, because I was asleep going there, and then on the way back it was too dark. Because I'm a psychopath, and I left at like 4:30 in the morning. So it was dark and I conked out while Kayla drove. And then on the way back, it was just traffic. There was nothing really to highlight or anything like that. So I think I answered your question. There was just nothing on the road trip. It was all, whatever happened, it was all at the fair.
Okay. My next question, we'll get to that, but go ahead.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah. I just it's like whatever.
Yeah, there was no sights or anything like that. It was dark. The next one is the Week 5 underachiever was won by Frank, aka Megatron. He won his game, but was underprojected by 21.65 points this week. So congratulations, Frank. I think you would have only beaten like one other person this week. He just happened to get it. The next one, as we mentioned before, because of her luck with them, the Week 5 game changer goes to Tom Brady with 37.74 points, which is funny because if Sarah would have or Gavin would have won, it would have been Lamar Jackson with his 41. Insane. Got some crazy high scoring this week. Almost, I think we almost had like 4 or 5 guys who went like the full, almost like 35 or 36 points. I need to go back again, but it's insane, which is funny, like I said, with the high points, because the Week 5 player with heart is Lamar Jackson from the Ravens with 41.88 points with it. He didn't have anybody else that could overcome my scores at this point. So as I get this next one up, what's your next question, Justin? What's your next?
What stood out to you at the fair aside from the fried foods?
I think the crowd. I would definitely say that the crowd was a nice return to the fair because I hadn't been there in 10 years, right? And because of COVID last year, you could tell like people were energized. They were happy to be there. And especially too after the game, people just stuck around and hung out and just enjoyed the fair. Usually if OU loses, they go straight home and Texas goes home. If OU wins, they stick around and Texas goes home. Texas goes home regardless for it. But it seemed like both just stayed and hung out from it. I'd definitely say the crowd. They enjoyed the area. So next one is the crash and burn was Chad with his 70.46 points, which you absolutely exploited, Justin, by kicking his butt. You kicked his butt pretty hardcore this week. Next award after that is your favorite awards, Justin, the Put Me in Coach Award with Justin Herbert, the quarterback from the Los Angeles Chargers, at 42.82 points. You could have beaten Chad by like another 30 points. I swear I'm gonna have to name this the Justin Memorial Award with the bench.
Might as well at this point.
I want to send you like a bench that has that because Justin, is it a surprise that not only did you have the highest player, you also had the replacements because you had the highest scoring bench. To be fair, half of it was Justin Herbert. I think you've won these awards like 4 weeks in a row. I at least I can say for you, Justin, that no matter what, if a guy gets injured or is without COVID, you have someone ready to go. Like that, I have to say, I am jealous of that. I am absolutely jealous that you have that much. So while I get these next one, what's your next question for me? What's your next one? Because I know you have many.
How old were you when you attended your first Oklahoma game?
I was 10 because the first Sooner game that I attended, as far as I remember, there's some like weird memory I have of another game, but I was told it's the same one. But it was 10. It was OU Texas 2000, Red River rivalry, and that was the year OU won a natty. That was my very first OU game. Heck of a game to go to, huh? OU won. Texas, they beat Texas 63. I think it was to 14. It was a cold and rainy day, but man, it was a great game. Great game. All right. Next one is the A win is a win was Frank with his 85.98 points against Joshua Prime. He still won his game despite being outscored by 3/4 of the league. Now, to be fair, Justin, you may have had the bench, but this week you get the butt whipping award because the week 5 route award goes to you against Chad, who you beat by 46.84 points. You kicked butt.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
It could have been 70 points if you started Justin Herbert. It could have been worse. So congratulations, Justin, for getting that one. Besides getting the bench awards. Next one after this, I'm kind of speeding through these because I want to keep this one to an hour with it because I have a couple other things I got to do before I go to bed. So week 5 Hail Mary award is Frank versus Joshua Prime. They were the closest game scored this week. It was 9.68 points. Not really anything exciting on that one. It's just a standard 10-point game. I think I'm more surprised that it was a little bit that high versus like 4 or 3 points at that point. What's your next question for me, sir?
What's the furthest you've ever traveled to watch the Sooners play?
New Orleans. It was the OU Alabama game for the Sugar Bowl in 2014 where OU beat Bama. That's kind of the most I've done. I've only done the Red River rivalry, and I've only done the Sugar Bowl and home games. I haven't really traveled a whole lot with OU football games. I wish I have, but I just haven't had it. So next one is the week 5 participation trophy. There was none because everybody who scored big won their games. There was nobody who scored big and lost any of their games. That was at least in the top quarter of the league. Next one, this is tied by a lot, but it is the goose egg. There are several people who had it. I don't know if it's going to show. Oh, perfect. Everybody scored 0 points with this one. Justin, you had it with your Cleveland defense. Britney had it with Cook and Galladay, and Voldemort had it with Carson, which is amazing to me that Britney still won, that she had 2 players score 0 points, and she still won against Kayla. That's some bragging rights right there. That's some bragging rights. If I had a special award for that, I'd give it. And then no one should be surprised by this one as well, that the Lady Luck Award goes to Frank because he was the only one to win with a low score. He would have been outscored by, I think it's like 9 other teams in the league at this point. So we're coming up to the last 3 awards of the week. Justin, what's your last question for me?
My last question is there a fried food at the fair that you wish you had room to get?
Yes, fried Twinkies. I did not get a fried Twinkie, and I did not get a Belgian waffle. Again, I ate so much of that fried food, it just sat there. I would have tried more if I was at the state fair at that point. But there's so much to try. And even though the fair is kind of the same every year, there's still such a wide selection of stuff. I'm still feeling that fried food, if I'm being honest, from it. So thank you for the questions, Justin. I hope everybody enjoyed my answers about OU Texans getting to know me a little bit. So the Crisis Averted Award goes to Britney with her Kansas City defense. They scored -1 points on her bench. It avoided her disaster. And I think she would have won anyway, but it's still avoiding disaster. You never want negative points. Never, 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 ever. The next one goes to you, Justin, is a fun award, the Depth Chart Award, because you would have beaten Chad with your bench if you would have just used your bench as well. This is the second time this season you have gotten that award. It just means you have a great B team, man. You have the B team. And then the final one is the Min Max Award. That's going to go to Tyler. He only left 19.72 points on the bench. He maximized as much as he could, and even then, he could not beat the Green Goblins. Green Goblins beat him by a whop, almost 20 extra points. But he did his best with it. So that is all the awards we have for this week for it. Let's take, I don't know why I did that, because I still have to show the standings in next week's games. Any final thoughts on the awards, though, Justin? Anything that stands out to you?
Only thing is that I might as well have that put me in coach named after me, like you said.
Yeah, I think I kind of want to do that. Just like if Chad won, I was going to name the Champions Award the Minion Trophy. Looking at next week, we got some good matchups. We've got me versus Sarah, number 2 versus number 3. I think this is like our third one. Don't look at the predictions because I haven't set my lineup yet.
I'm about to say, what you were talking about 60 points. You might want to get on that.
Jokes on everybody. That's what I roll with because I expect Sarah to lose. No, I just haven't set my lineup yet. Then we have number 1 versus number 1, Kyler Wren versus the Lidless Eye. Then we have Justin. We have you versus Miracle Muffins. Number 4 versus number 5, which is a very solid game. Gavin versus Regina George. Number 12 versus number 8. Social Media versus Megatron. Number 7 versus number 10. And Chad versus the Borg. Number 11 versus number 6. We got some good games this week, for sure. And the big thing is, I could pick any of these games to be game of the week because it's rivalry week, but it's an out of conference week. So everybody plays everybody that they're not played yet. We take a break for 1 week from our conference games for most of the or the pod games for most of the week at this point. And if we take a look at the current standings right now, Sarah leads the Evo Every Villain is Lemons pod 2-0. Megatron's right behind her, but Megatron has a very, very, very tough hill ahead, and he still has to face them 2 more times each. Next up, Justin, you are in. That's weird. Why it says? Oh, that's why it's just looking at. Okay, so technically, Joshua Prime would be ahead of you right now because you have 1 loss. However, based on total win-loss, you are ahead of him at the moment. Now, that's just for qualifying into the playoff. But right now, Joshua Prime is ahead in his league. Next up is Kyler Wren, same thing. He's ahead. Patrick is right behind him, but luckily Patrick can't score, so anything can happen. And then Kayla is leading our league at the moment, but I'm right behind her. It takes just that 1 win to switch everything up. So that's the current standings right now. I'm going to now, let's see, move over to projections at this point. Let me see. Any thoughts on our current rankings or anything at this point?
Not really.
Nothing surprising. I think it's starting to go where people are starting to pull away essentially here in week 5. Basically the red alerts would be like Chad, Gavin, and Frank. Like the 1 and 2 loss teams, like now is the time to make those moves because otherwise it may be a little bit too late at this point. So
just a little bit.
Just a little bit. So looking at the projections, though, right now for the move to the league analyzer for playoff projections at the moment, Justin, you jumped up. You are currently projected. It says -2, but we both know you jumped up on it of number 6 in the playoff. I'm number 5. We still have the same 4, Andrew, Sarah, Kayla, and Tyler, but you and I, we're making some movements. We're trying to get those last 2 spots. This is the first time you'd be in the playoff if you make it all the way to the season, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully you make it all the way to the end of the season, buddy. So, and then we got still Patrick, Frank, Britney, Joshua Prime, Chad, and Gavin. They're all still at the very, very, very end, but hey, there's still 7 weeks. There's still 7 weeks, and we've only done 1 of 3 games in their pods. They could still get that automatic qualifier and get in. And then looking at power rankings, we see all those power rankings right here at this point from it. And this is this week's. Chad is still up there. I still don't understand the power rankings. I don't. I need to take a look and be like, how do they rate the power rankings? And then here we go, week 6. We've got Andrew, Kayla, Patrick, Frank. I think power rankings is the potential for points. I think that's what it is with it. So you see you and I are like near the bottom of potential points. And I think this week is what it is because I haven't set my lineup. That has to be it, of potential points versus like actual points with it. I don't know about the rest of the season though with the rest of the season, like potential for it as well. So who knows? But yeah, that's kind of all we got this week. Justin, just a quick week going through all this. Any final thoughts going into next week?
Well, let's see if I can legit get that one award named after me this week, but probably not because I'm actually starting Herbert this week. I haven't started him since week 2.
Watch him get 2 points.
Yeah, because he didn't do good last time I started him, which is why he was benched for a while.
Gotcha. Watch him get like 2 points. You still win, but then not get the bench this week. The traveling bench award named after Justin. That'd be great. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting. We got definitely number 2 versus number 3, number 4 versus number 5. And I think if anything, that's just going to give point awards and everything, like determining who's going to be those tiebreakers you need as a just in case if it gets too close from similar records and stuff. But if you don't have anything, I don't have anything either. I think we get to wrap up the
both our matchup is honestly going to be leading down to the Monday night game because whatever my opposing name, I can't remember my opponent's name. Miracle Muffins has one person in that game, and I have 3 in the Monday night game.
Oh yeah, you
and
won't
one
even
person,
know
but it's one person, Stephon Diggs.
Oh yeah. See, for me, I still need to figure out who my quarterback's gonna be, who to replace with Anderson. Debo Samuel has a bye this week, and San Francisco has a bye this week. I have a couple people I need to replace, and it may be one of those 2. I just take the L for this one, so I don't have to worry about it with so many people on buys and injured or things like that. Russell getting injured really hurts for it, but I did pick up Geno Smith, so maybe he'll do something for me. Then again, Geno Smith, who's heard of Geno Smith playing in quite some time? So he old.
Yeah, I think I legit tweet when he came in the game. Or at least I thought about saying, Geno Smith, he's still around.
Yeah, he is. I may have to figure out another quarterback if I can at this point, because a lot of my playmakers, again, they're on the bench. Kamar's on the bench. Russell's injured, and then Debo, he's on the bench too for this week. So I expect an L from Sarah because she still has all her starters in, but maybe, just maybe, the following week I will be able to beat Andrew. So other than that, I think we're good then tonight, Justin. So I want to thank you for coming on again. I think we had a fun time talking about OU Texas as well as talking about fantasy football. I hate when excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. So thank you for coming on again. Always same time, same place next week.
You know it.
Cool. Well, I'll have to see who we get as our special guest next week so we can talk to them about what their experience with sports and everything like that is, and see if we get some mini craziness from college football from these lackluster games as well as any NFL games. So again, Justin, thank you for joining me this week. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Good luck against Kayla this week. And I think we're good. I think we're good. So I'm going to log out, and thanks for everybody who popped into the live stream for a moment to enjoy our fantasy football week 5 recap. Good luck to everybody next week, and hopefully nobody catches the Rona for their players or gets any injury from the injury bug. Have a nice week, guys.